if you could change something in our industry, I know there's a lot of things that need to be changed, right? But if you can change something to make it better, like what would that be?
Oh boy, you get me in trouble. That's a loaded question.
Welcome everyone to our Ideas Edition podcast, and I am so excited with the guest that we have today. He is actually the director of growth and development at Dedicated Senior Medical Center, and let me just tell you a little bit about why we bring Ray over to our interview and our podcast. As agents, we know how important it is to put the client with the right doctor, and Dedicated Senior Medical Center is one of those MSO partners, one of those clinics in town where patients feel like home. Like I have my dad, one of their dedicated facilities, and it's just amazing how they treat the clients. And we're here to provide some insights about how Dedicated handles that, and also learn a little bit about Ray. So Ray, thank you so much for coming into the show. How are you today?
Thank you so much, George. I am fantastic. And thank you for the opportunity to be here today.
Oh, my pleasure. My pleasure. So let me just ask you, Ray, just to start off, can you tell us a little bit about yourself, how you got into the industry?
Yeah, thank you. So, my journey with the insurance industry started way back, and I think in 2001 when I came in to the industry, and my career really took off. However, when I went to work for Humana, working as not only an agent for many, many years, but also transitioning into their leadership team, supporting Medicare Advantage opportunities in Orlando and in other parts of Florida. Wow. So really my 18 years with Humana is where I really count my experience and where I really gained all my knowledge and my ability to help other folks in the industry.
Wow, that's amazing. And so when you were working in Humana, you started as an agent, right?
I was an agent, right?
Wow,
We worked in Altamont Springs, worked as an agent for 7 years. In the Tri-County, Orange, Osceola, Seminole market. And had the privilege of working with a lot of great people, a lot of great leaders at Humana. I learned a lot, and I was able to take that when I moved over to Dedicated.
Wow, amazing. And then from a sales agent, you also move up to sales manager, right? So now you had agents that you had to train and coach and all of that?
Yes, my first position in leadership, I went to work in the Panhandle. I supported Pensacola and Tallahassee and parts of Ocala, and which was the villages at that point. Right?
A lot of driving, huh?
A lot of driving. It was crazy, a lot of driving, but it was a great experience. I worked mostly on the external side, supporting external agents, much like we work together now. So that was really, really a good experience. And then I came back to Orlando, and I became a sales manager and supporting career teams here in Orlando. And I did that for about 7 years.
Wow. That is amazing. Thank you, Ray. So let me ask you, because you've been with Dedicated now for about a year, I will say, right?
No, believe it or not, I'm going on 3 years
already.
Already.
3 years now.
Yeah,
okay.
3 years a few more months.
Wow. It's just feel like it was time moves fast, man. It's moving so fast. So tell me the transition, because I looked at your LinkedIn and I think you were with Humana for 18 years, right? So
it was.
So how was that transition coming from, insurance stuff, knowing about plans and co-pays and all of that, to now just this different world where you work with doctors and now I think it's a totally different environment, right? I know it's related in the medical side, but how do you see that, and how was that transition for you?
Well, it was pretty exciting. And so the story I tell is that working with Humana in my leadership position, I was responsible for supporting, we basically had 20 different value-based partners, 20 different MSOs that Humana supported in Orlando. And when Dedicated came into the market in 2019, they quickly identified themselves, or their model was just a great model. And it quickly became apparent that when we would have these like monthly meetings, they were always like the top 1, 2, or 3 performing partner that we had. And
Mm-hmm.
so I guess the question you're asking me is, how did that transition occur? But
Mm-hmm.
basically the story kind of evolved where I identified Dedicated really did the work themselves. They were performing so well, and I got to know the leadership team with Dedicated. And at one point they were just like, hey, come talk to us. And that's really kind of how the conversation of me leaving Humana, which candidly, I thought I would retire from Humana because I loved Humana, moving over to a value-based partner. But Dedicated has a really unique model, I think, in terms of sort of how they approach their care to their patients, the work they do. I really enjoyed, and I do enjoy working with the marketing team and just having a closer touch to the patients and really seeing the outcomes that we're able to provide and just the overall experience that we can provide to our communities and to our patients.
Awesome. Wow. So I'm gonna ask you some questions about marketing. You mentioned marketing, right? So very big in your position, right? You have a very big marketing team that you're responsible for. They're responsible for bringing, just as we bring agents and lives and clients to our insurance, and we promote insurance products and services. You're responsible for bringing patients to the clinics, right? And you have a big marketing team that helps promote the different dedicated offices all around Florida. So what's more important to you from that standpoint, marketing or sales? Because when you bring a new patient, it's like a sale, right? You could say that. What would you think is more important of these two aspects?
I think in my role as a director of growth, or as a director of growth in Orlando, helping support the 5 centers, my role is certainly more of a marketing and development role, working with excellent partners like IDEA, with yourself, supporting your career agents. Keep in mind, our marketing team, and we have 5 centers, we have close to 30 different membership growth consultants.
Wow.
We are not licensed, right? We count on you to go out and meet with the patients, determine through a needs analysis the best plan for that individual, and then, again, hopefully Dedicated is the correct, provider for that individual. And so the membership team and my role really is to go out in the community, do that hands-on marketing, go out, do those events with your agents and other agents in the community. So to answer your question specifically, I would say it's a little bit of both, but definitely marketing in my role plays probably the most important part in terms of getting the word out, talking to our partners, identifying how we can assist them, and make that transition for a new patient with you into our clinic as smooth as we can.
Wow, that's amazing. And let me tell you, you guys do a phenomenal job at the marketing. I think out of all of our MSO partners, you guys are on top of your game with marketing. You guys called our agents. You guys are available for our agents, and that's really important too. And from your perspective, I'm going to ask you some questions that are going to probably help the agent, right? So, and you can answer this from your Humana experience or from your Dedicated experience. What tips can you provide that agent or broker out there that is, trying to make it happen? They're trying to gain clients. They're looking for clients. They're marketing themselves. They're trying to bring that bread home, right? What tips can you give them from all of these years of experience that you had in the field working in these positions?
I think the biggest factor that leads to an agent's success is really making themselves available, in terms of just being available in terms of communication, being out in the community. You're not going to have anything happen if you're in the home or if you're in the office all day. So again, being forward facing in terms of your work with the community. Having good partners and identifying who you can work with. For example, Dedicated. We have, again, close to 30 different marketing teammates. One of the greatest ways to ensure your success is to ensure your patients are happy with their primary care doctor, right? So in order to do that, work with a marketing teammate, work with one of our membership growth consultants on the side of dedicated. We can ensure that they have a great onboarding experience. Their new patient paperwork is completed. They can ensure that their first appointments are scheduled to assist you. We know that, each of the agents in the community have a lot on their plate. They're out there, doing their marketing. And so we want to partner with them. But again, in terms of my experience and what makes a really great agent great is community partnerships, being forward facing, and then really making sure that you're available for that patient and your marketing team.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Thank you, Ray. And now I'm going to touch a little bit. We want to know more about what you do for our consumers. Like, what makes dedicated different? Like, how do you improve our clients' lives, our patients' lives?
Yeah, that's a great question. So dedicated as a senior medical center is, I refer to as a bit of a higher touch model. So we really can ensure great outcomes for our patients because we really want to, we like to see that patient on an ongoing basis, which means that we can ensure that when that patient comes on as a new patient to dedicated, we do a complete health assessment, right? We call it total health. We call them a Tahiti appointment, really, but it's a total health assessment, early embrace. We get that patient in, we do a comprehensive set of diagnostic testing to ensure that we are fully aware of what that patient's concerns are, what the challenges are medically. We do a whole battery of tests, including an echocardiogram, just a whole series of tests. And really that's to ensure that when our patients are working with their doctor has a full understanding of that patient's needs. Okay. So really, again, that's just the initial step for that patient to come into dedicated. And then again, it's a high touch model. We really like to see our patients every 4 to 6 weeks. So we really want to make sure that we can help manage, high risk diseases, help ensure that we can provide them a quality of life that maybe they didn't have before because we are detecting and managing those high-risk diseases. And again, it's just an ongoing care model that really focuses on not just a fee-for-service model, but really a more comprehensive care model that ensures high outcomes, high-quality outcomes.
Wow, yeah. And let me tell you, you guys really do a good job because I went with my dad for that first appointment. Man, you guys did like 12 tests. And I'm like, whoa, like, if someone has something going on in their body, like you guys will detect that. You guys will really know what's going on and be able to prevent something worse from happening, right? So I think you guys do a really good job on that. How can we as an insurance agency or how can agents, independent agents, help you guys? Like what challenges you guys might be facing now with everything going on in the market, especially in the senior population, and how can insurance agents help out with overcome that challenge?
Yeah, I mean, there are, obviously a lot of pressures in the marketplace with CMS regulations, with marketing rules, making it a little more challenging. Yeah. What I would submit is that we want to ensure that each of our agents in the community really align themselves closely with one of our marketing teammates because we can partner with you on events. We can support you in terms of providing support in terms of marketing dollars, other activities. And so I think the question is, how can we best work together? And just having really good communication, working with that agent in the community, having that agent make sure they're comfortable with understanding our care model, understanding the expectations of what we ask of our patients. We ask a lot of them, but we also are going to give them a really great outcome. For example, having the agents know that we have a pharmacy or a dispensary or the opportunity to deliver medications in the center.
That's amazing.
We have a cardiologist on staff in every clinic, a podiatrist.
Wow.
At every clinic.
Wow.
and we have a comprehensive network of specialists that we know that we can trust, that provide great outcomes, that provide the quality care to our patients that they deserve. And so we want to ensure your agents that they're going to get the best care when they put their patients with Dedicated.
That's amazing. That's amazing. So thank you for that. And do you guys do something called health risk assessment as well, or do you get that from the carrier? Sometimes the carrier does it.
Yeah.
Like, and how does that help you? Does that help you guys at all when you get a new patient? If you guys have that information, or you still kind of do your own health risk assessment?
That's a great question. We get asked that frequently. So, obviously each of the carriers does have their own health risk assessments. And certainly as an agent or an agency, we want to definitely have your agents complete that for the carrier. We in turn will do the rest on behalf of your agent, because we know your agent's already doing a lot of work. So as part of the new patient paperwork, we will have a health questionnaire that we just have for ourselves. Obviously a release of treatment and other types of forms to assist with that onboarding. But we want to partner with your agents, have them complete the health risk assessment on behalf of the carrier so that they can do their part in terms of onboarding with the new plan, and then let the MGC work for you by doing that new patient paperwork to take that off your plate. So we do have a whole list of pages that we complete when we bring a new patient in. Part of that is a health questionnaire, but we will take that off your plate. We will do that for you and ensure that patient has a great experience coming into Dedicated.
Yeah, that's really cool. That's really cool. So I'm gonna ask you some personal stuff now, right? So, when you were in the field selling, because I love that you had that experience, so you can relate to what our agents go through every day, and visiting clients, and sitting in the tabletops and maybe doing marketing events, right? So when you were doing that, like, what were some challenges that maybe you had and how you overcome them? Like, okay, I'm having a bad month and I haven't made my numbers for this month. And what things did you do differently to maybe try to overcome that and grow to the next level? Just put it that way.
Usually, that's a great question. And certainly as I reflect back, I would say it comes down to, I think in our work, there's really fundamentals that we have to do, right?
Yeah.
I knew, and I tell my team this, that if we were having a bad month, it probably meant that I wasn't doing one of the fundamentals of my business.
Oof.
I wasn't doing enough events. I wasn't being forward facing. Maybe I was doing too much administrative work. Maybe I wasn't in the field enough. Maybe I wasn't keeping my ear open or asking for a simple referral from my patients or my members. We know that members have the highest referral opportunity within the first 90 days.
Yeah.
We know that providing quality customer service ensures a consistent referral base. And so if I'm not doing the fundamentals of my work, then I probably will have a bad month. But if I'm consistent, I'm keeping the communication open, I am forward facing, I'm doing my events, I'm working with my community partners, I am communicating with my new members, and even calling consistently my existing book of business to handle any customer service issues, ask for referrals. If I was doing those fundamentals, I could pretty much ensure I'd have a good month.
Wow. That's a great value feedback. And it's like going back to the basics, right? So when you're asking yourself, oh my God, I don't know what's going on, I haven't received any calls, right? Just go back to the basics, right? Go back to what you used to do when you did have those good months, right? Wow. So thank you for that, Ray. That's great information. Do you read books like on a constant basis, like self-improvement books?
It's fun. I used to read more books. I read more. Now I'm watching I'm reading podcasts, watching YouTube
Yeah.
self-help videos.
Yeah.
Really, it's pretty what I do.
Mm-hmm.
My last good book was on negotiation, which I thought was really interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Can't think of the author, but it was a really good book on negotiation, and that kind of helped me rethink some of my approach to my work in terms of my partnerships in the community, but also with my patients as well, or my new members. I keep saying
Yeah.
patients, but new
Yeah.
members to the
Yeah.
plan. So there's a really good book, and I'll get that to you
Yeah.
on negotiation.
Awesome.
And sales leadership. I mean, again, there's many,
Mm-hmm.
many common books out there, but
Mm-hmm.
I think the desire to continually to learn and to grow is fundamentally paramount to an individual's professional success.
It is.
You have to continue to want to grow, and that's
Mm-hmm.
something that I have personally taken to heart. With my journey going back to school late in life,
Mm-hmm.
and I think it's a lifelong learning opportunity, or a lifelong learning desire will help you continue to grow. Think bigger picture in terms of how you approach your work,
Mm-hmm.
give you opportunities for advancement and development,
Yeah.
and just gives you a bigger perspective.
It does. It does. So I always say to the agents, like, you never stop learning in this business, or maybe in any business, right? But in this business, every year, new rules, you got to stay on top of
Mm-hmm.
everything. So learning is a must, right? But not only learning about the industry and the changes, also self improvement learning, right? Where you learn about sales, you learn about marketing, you learn about other stuff that are gonna help your personal, professional, financial life. That's really important. And talking about the same topic, back in the day, maybe did you have like a mentor that you look up to? And it could be maybe in books, or it could be someone that from when you worked at Humana, like, oh my God, this guy's it's just amazing. And have you had a mentor? Can you tell me a little bit um, about that? If you had a mentor, and how did that maybe change your life for the better?
That's a really important question, and I
Mm-hmm.
think that's having a mentor. So the first question is, yes, I've had multiple mentors. I think
Mm-hmm.
come in and out of my
Mm-hmm.
life, that I've been able to work with, that have really impacted my thinking and my approach to my work, and even
Mm-hmm.
my personal life. Right? Because
Mm-hmm.
many times when you're speaking with you're talking a mentor and you have a relationship that can kind of help you maybe step back, give you a
Mm-hmm.
different approach.
Mm-hmm.
I had my time at Humana. I had a really great partnership. Actually, he was my leader, Jeff DeJoya,
Oh.
who is a great friend very much now. He was with Humana for forever. I had another sales director, Sandy Bryant, who was also just a great leader. And these folks touch you in different ways.
Yeah.
But to answer your question, it's important that you seek out opportunities for growth, make your relationships in the community, and find someone. It can be in different walks of life, can be a different industry that
Mm-hmm.
maybe this individual has, is in a position where they can share some time with you.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, those mentorships
Mm-hmm.
are super important, and
Wow.
have
Well,
contributed to my life.
yeah. What would you think? What would you say the best advice had been with any of those mentors? I know it was probably a lot of them, but if you could just say one thing that they told you that you have applied to your life.
I, I, I think your comment earlier touched on it, which is the the need to continue to be a lifelong learner. Don't
Mm.
shut down.
Mm-hmm.
Don't don't
Wow.
don't put the blinders on. Keep an open mind.
Mm-hmm.
Seek to understand. And I think that more than anything has been one of the biggest influences in my life, was the conversations that we would have to try to gain different perspectives, make sure that you're being open and receptive versus having maybe a closed mindset, have a growth mindset.
Yeah.
And that really, and again, even now, that's a constant struggle, right? Because sometimes we get set in our ways. But if there's one piece of advice that I still think back on today, would be the lifelong learning and keeping a growth mindset.
Yeah. Awesome. Love that. Love that, man. If you could change something in our industry,
Mm.
And I know there's a lot of things that need to be changed, right? But if you can change something to make it better, like what would that be,
Oh boy, you get me in trouble. That's a loaded question.
We-
I have a couple ideas, but what would be one thing that would be good? Wow, I should probably have a. I have a couple answers. I think okay. I
it's
think one that I would definitely want to share is in terms of on the I think the value-based care is a model of care for our patients in MAPD in our Medicare world
mm-hmm.
that I think needs to be universal. I think a fee-for-service model of care
Mm-hmm.
approach to providing care for our seniors is not efficient, not effective, and does not provide the best outcomes for our patient. I think that is probably one of the biggest challenges
Mm-hmm.
facing our seniors,
Mm-hmm.
and contributes to bad outcomes.
Yeah.
A
I don't,
fee, yeah,
and I don't think it's gonna be sustainable, neither. I mean, looking at the numbers, I
yeah,
love that because I agree with you, 100%.
yeah.
Love the values-based care model. So um, maybe we need more dedicators in the world, right?
Maybe we do. They're out there, and there's some good companies out there. And I
Uh-huh.
think for our seniors, the ones we love,
Yeah.
our fathers, our mothers, our grandparents,
Mm-hmm.
we want the best for them. And sometimes some of the care they receive doesn't really fulfill that promise.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's it's hard. It's hard to to make that big of a change, but hey, never give up. I learned, right? Never
No.
give up. So that is awesome. um I'm gonna ask you a little bit more about the competition, okay?
Hmm.
So how is dedicated different from other similar clinics or MSOs in the area or in the industry?
Yeah. Thank you. My Doing the work I do now, and
Mhm.
again, I think having the privilege of working and supporting Humana as long as I have, and being in my position before I left, and being able to look at those 20 different value-based partners and being able to kind of
Mhm.
see what everybody's doing. I think one of the things that Dedicated does very well, and some of the more successful partners do as well, is just to focus on the outcomes, right?
Mhm.
And I think that's a common thing I've talked about in our conversation, is
Mhm.
that we really want to focus on the patient outcomes, not
Yeah.
on having them come in,
Mhm.
have a battery of tests to what end, right?
Mhm.
Obviously, we want to take care of whatever acute issue it has arisen, but we
Mhm.
also want to take a longer term approach. And I
Mhm.
think that's one of the things that Dedicated does really, really well, is that we're looking at keeping you out of the hospital because that's not the place you want to be,
Mhm.
keeping you out of the emergency room. That's not where you want to be. Making sure that we can provide care
Yeah.
in the clinic, keep you in your home, keep you healthy, making sure that we're uh, helping assist with your medication adherence, making
Mhm.
sure that we have your follow-ups, making sure that we have your appointments to your specialists. And I think that coordinated care, I think that's a conversation that many of our partners have. I don't think
Mhm.
a lot of them do it really well. I think there
Mhm.
is a number that do,
Mhm.
but I can assure you that is a mission of Dedicated, and that's
Wow.
something that we take very, very seriously in terms of providing that comprehensive model of care, so
Mhm.
that we can ensure that if you have a specialist visit, we're going to make sure you get there.
Mhm.
We're going to make sure that it's your appointments are set up. We are communicating with our partners, and
Mhm.
again, providing that holistic approach to your care so that we can provide you a better outcome.
Wow. Wow. That's amazing. So, just touching on that. So, let's say you have a patient called Mr. Smith and everything was good, labs were good, patient is compliant, right? But maybe um, 6 months or a year from now, things happen and um, he had a mild stroke, went to the hospital, and now he now he has to make some differences in the lifestyle. Let's say Mr. Smith was very active, now not as active anymore because he had this. So when those things happens, and I know it happens on a daily basis, um, what dedicated does, like what measurements do you take? Because I know you said you focus on outcomes. Like, do you guys have a conversation? Hey, this happened to Mr. Smith. He was in the hospital, mild stroke. Is there a way you guys can prevent that? And I'm just like throwing things because I don't know a lot about the medical field, but is there a way to prevent that? Or are those things really things you can say, hey, we did everything we could, and and it just happened. We didn't saw it coming, right? I don't know. Can you comment on that, or
Mm.
like can that happen, or it's usually because and I'm not saying it's dedicated or any clinics out there, but whenever those things happens, in most cases, the client usually says, it was maybe the doctor didn't do enough, right? Or didn't look enough, right?
Mhm.
Or didn't foresee it, right? Um, so when that things happens with dedicated, um, what measurements you take in place, or do you have a plan like for those things not to happen? Like if you're already watching high cholesterol levels or high blood pressure levels, okay, maybe he might be at risk of a stroke, right? So
Mhm.
is that different than versus someone that it just happened all of a sudden, right? Or
You know, obviously I'm not a medical doctor.
yeah, yeah,
So
I know. We're getting
yeah,
way off
I
here.
did not stay at a Holiday Inn. So from that standpoint,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
what I can say, um, again, obviously we all know there's multiple factors that touch on a patient's life and their well-being, right?
Hmm.
I can say that once a patient enters our practice, we are
Hmm.
going to have continued visits with that patient uh, virtually on a monthly basis.
Hmm.
We do a series of tests throughout the year to monitor that patient's health
Hmm.
and make sure that we are as attuned to that patient's need as we
Hmm.
possibly can be. Are
Hmm.
we perfect? No. Really, is
Hmm.
any medical doctor perfect? No. That's why they call
Yeah,
it a practice,
yeah.
literally.
It's
Things
you're
are going to
always
happen to
improving.
our loved ones. Things are going
Yeah.
to happen to our patients that are beyond the control of our doctor in the clinic.
Hmm.
But I can say we're going to have a higher ability, a higher acuity of identifying that patient's potential challenges, having that higher touch model, being able
Hmm.
to have that
Hmm.
patient come in
Hmm.
literally on a monthly, every 4 to 6 weeks to monitor that patient's
Hmm.
health, find out is anything changing. Things as simple as a nominal weight loss,
Yeah.
maybe a
Okay.
change in appetite, things of that nature that we can use
Wow.
as key indicators
Hmm.
of, hey, is this individual's health changing?
Hmm.
Now, are things going to happen?
Yeah.
100%. But are we going to be able to say that, look, we've done everything we can to ensure that we were able to identify a potential change in that patient's health? I can say 100% we
Wow.
are
Wow.
because we are consistently seeing that patient on a regular basis.
Wow. That's amazing. And we're talking about outcomes, tracking that, you've seen how you accomplish better outcomes for patients. Like I have another patient with you guys that went from 13 medications to 4 or 5. Like I've seen that. That's better outcomes for you guys,
It's
right?
better outcome for the patient. Who wants to take 13 medications? That is like horrible. Hearing that
That-
makes me just like die inside. So
but it's crazy,
it's
and
crazy.
we seen the improvement in patients' health after they start seeing you guys or the big partners
Yeah.
because they really have that value-based care model. Well,
Yeah.
that's amazing.
And I want to say, I mean, how many homes have we gone into where, we're talking with them and they bring out a box of
Oh
medications and
yeah.
your eyes just like go, wow. And part of that is the lack of communication between that primary care doctor and their specialists, right?
It
Part
might
of
be the
that,
same medication for the same problem, right?
right, duplicating similar, outcomes for that patient with the medication. So that's why having a pharmacy in our clinics helps with that medication adherence,
Hmm.
helps that primary care doctor control what that patient's taking. And then again, having a comprehensive specialist network that dedicated uses to help keep that specialist communicating with the primary care doctor so everybody knows what everybody's doing with that patient.
Mm-hmm. That's amazing. And we've seen that and that better outcomes. Okay. All right. So going back to some questions for our agents, right? So talking about success, let's just talk a little bit about success. Obviously, you've been successful. You started as an agent, then a sales manager with Humana. Now you transition to a director of growth and development dedicated. Like, the success leaves traits. I heard that from one of my mentors. Like, what can you share some of those traits of success that you have applied to your life, or what things can you say about that?
Um, I would say one of the things that I've learned is you have to have a plan, right?
Mm-hmm.
You need a plan, and you should write that plan down. I'm a firm believer in putting pen to paper. If you don't know where you're going to go, chances are you're not going to get there. So have a plan. Think again, bigger picture in terms of what your goals are. Think, again, what you want out of your career.
Mm-hmm.
Think about your goals and goal setting. Things like that have very, very much helped me. Work with a good team. Have a good partner. Life is difficult. Our job is very difficult. And it takes a partnership, not only within the organization you work with, as an idea, as a phenomenal partner, right? But you also have to have partners you can work with on a peer level to support each other and work together. So those are two of the big ones. Have good partnerships, have a great team supporting you, have a plan, and then execute on that plan. Be intentional in terms of your application of the work. I knew there was a lot out there, and I've been very fortunate, being, again, a lifelong learner, always looking for more opportunity. Never burn your bridges, and always always be positive, right?
Yeah.
And that's helped me.
Wow, be positive. That's a very good one. When you're positive, you attract that, right? Good things happen.
Good things happen.
Wow. All right, we're getting ready to wrap it up. So this is probably one of the biggest questions I can ask someone, because I like to learn from others, right? And I like bringing people like you that have a lot of experience in the industry and have moved up in life, So, but we all make mistakes, right? And if you had to go back to the 25-year-old Ray Falcon, what would you say to Ray to maybe, I don't want to say improve, but to maybe avoid some of the stuff that maybe you happened throughout your journey?
What would I tell myself? I would.
Or what advice would you give yourself?
What advice would I give myself? That's a really good question. I would tell myself probably to be a little more patient. Patience is important, right? I would tell myself, don't be arrogant. And in early career, I was successful, but I was a little arrogant. And that's a bad trait. I would tell myself to maybe be a little kinder at times. And then I would also tell myself to work harder, right? So I think a lot of my challenges was I could have been more successful earlier had I applied myself harder. It's easy for me to say, have that plan, but I wasn't as organized, and organization is key to our success.
It's
being smart about my application to my work, thinking bigger picture when I was younger, because I think I had put limitations on my success back then. So being a little smarter about how I applied myself to my work. I tell myself back then, hey, be smarter, be more patient, don't be arrogant, and the world is a fantastic place to be part of.
Wow, Ray, that was amazing, man. And thank you for sharing that. I think that's really key, because we all go through that at some point of our life. Everything's too good. We're making the money, and then that could happen. We can become arrogant, or the know-it-alls, right? Oh, I'm doing good. I know it all, right?
We're full of ourselves.
Oh my God, we're making a fool of ourselves. Wow, that's so inspiring, Ray. Because that has happened to me at some time in our lives. I'm pretty sure it has happened to a lot of folks that are listening to this. So thank you for sharing. I think it puts us down to earth. Um, all right.
Thank you so much. It's been a fantastic opportunity.
Oh my
I
God.
really have enjoyed the time.
Yeah.
I can't thank you enough. I loved working with you in the partnership. Dedicated thanks you. I thank you from the bottom of my heart.
Yeah.
And we look forward to much success moving forward together.
Oh yes, right. Thank you so much for your time here, and for taking the invitation on in our podcast. And it was really, really a pleasure having you. For those of you watching, thank you so much for staying tuned. We're gonna go ahead and finish it up right here, but stay tuned for more of Ideas Additions podcast. We're coming up with more information, more interviews for you guys. I hope you gotten some value from this interview, and I'll see you next week.